joined by Kenneth Okonkwo, who is an ADC chieftain and a lawyer. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning for inviting me, and good morning, viewers, for staying.
We've seen this notice, this letter to INEC from their lawyers. We see here it says that Robert Omukoro, SAN, Lukman Fagbemi, SAN, and Luka Musa Haruna, SAN, representing Honorable Nafiu Bala Gombe, asking INEC to, in fact, asking the chairman of INEC. They went on and listed several things, but part of what I read in the opening sequence there, they're demanding that INEC enforce the rulings of the Court of Appeal, and that means the name of Senator David Mark should not be in INEC website as the chairman of ADC.
Well, first and foremost, let me say that it is really very ridiculous for a man called Nafiu Gombe to say he's going to court to challenge the leadership of ADC. Nafiu Gombe, on the 17th May 2025, by a letter dated by him on that date, resigned from ADC. And he signed that letter on the 18th of May 2025. The letter took effect on the 26th of May 2025. And he said the reason that I am resigning is to make way for a smooth and effective coalition and restructuring, in his own handwriting. Now, after having resigned, and the APC started doing their ojoro, they went back to him, and they are using him, thinking he can truncate ADC.
How do you say for sure?
Because APC is desperate.
Is there any proof?
His resignation is in his handwriting.
Yeah, but is there any proof that it's ADC that's responsible for that?
Don't mistake ADC with that demonic party. You just said ADC.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
No. Did you have any proof that is APC that is asking him to do what he's doing?
Well,
he's a grown man.
We are politicians. What is his motive? Not to be anything in ADC. He has resigned. But to truncate ADC. Now, as I was saying, this Nafiu Gombe, I had been here on this studio when they were lying that the trial court gave them any order. I was with Maukwe, and I read to them where the trial court rejected even their ex parte motion and told them they should put us on notice. And INEC recognized us. And when INEC recognizes you, can no longer use the instrumentality of an interlocutory injunction to stop an action that is executed. Now, we went to Court of Appeal to say that these people are simply meddlesome interlopers. They are charlatans. The Court of Appeal reminded us that this is not even the judgment of the court. This is an interlocutory order, which the judge has not even ruled. They simply say, give notice. So what is it to appeal?
Okay.
And then the judge said, you will need to seek the leave of the Court of Appeal. That's the procedure. Before you appeal against an interlocutory order. And status quo is very simple.
Okay, so
can you imagine Nafiu telling the court, telling INEC, that the court told them that you should maintain status quo, and they are interpreting the status quo, that they should be granted the relief they are seeking in court.
Okay, so let me just read that.
You went to court to say the register, and you're saying the status quo.
Maybe so what you're saying is that
this is just very silly. Sorry.
So they're saying that the parties were hereby directed to maintain status quo ante bellum and shall refrain from taking any step or doing any act capable of fostering a fait accompli on the court or otherwise rendering nugatory the proceedings before the trial court. And in that letter they wrote to INEC.
Yes, that statement.
They went on to explain.
Yes.
To begin with, the literal meaning of status quo ante bellum is the state of affairs before the beginning of hostilities. So, the status quo that ought to be maintained, according to them, in this case, is the state of affairs that existed before the defendants forcibly take over of the management and control of the family properties which constitute the wrongful acts complained of in the application And then they referred, say, C. Thompson versus Park, 1944, and he went on and on.
Right. Let me just mention the first statement that you read.
Yeah.
You said you should not do anything that will disadvantage either party.
And then status quo, antebellum.
That is what I'm saying. Now, INEC has already recognized us. We are in INEC's portal as the leaders.
So they're saying that?
No.
That is a wrong move.
What they are saying, what the court said, actually confirmed our leadership. And is saying, don't tamper with this leadership. Because you'll be foisting a fait accompli on the court. Because that is what the court is to decide. So you see how people just sit down and interpret nonsense.
Wait a minute, just explain this. If you say the recognition by INEC of David Mark led team is what the INEC is to decide.
No, not INEC. Court.
Sorry, the court. If, because they're arguing that action alone is already foisting a fait accompli on the parties. So according to them, they say status quo antebellum means the condition of things before that recognition.
That is what I'm saying. Status quo antebellum is that there is a national leadership in place of ADC. And let me even remind you, it was Professor Yakubu Mahmood that recognized the ADC leadership, not even Joyce and Mofita. Can you imagine if Professor Yakubu Mahmood, that we know his technical glitch history, we look at the process that we took and saw no technical glitch and recognized us, then you can imagine that we went the extra mile. Because if he had seen any glitch, no matter how small, he wouldn't have ever tried it. We had 18 months of negotiations before we came up with this. I was part of it. As a lawyer, I asked critical questions, including this. And that was when I was shown everything. That these people resigned, their NWC dissolved itself because of the greater good of Nigeria. And some charlatans are meeting, some clowns are meeting, being used by APC to truncate ADC. Because Tinubu does not want any competition in 2027. That's what is going on.
Sorry, just to interrupt you.
Yes.
Are you also, would you also be suggesting, because I also want to believe that when people decide to go to court,
yes,
that lawyers will take a good look. You're a lawyer yourself.
Yes, yes.
Will take a good look at their case and decide if it's something that is worth putting their names to. Here we have two senior advocates of Nigeria, in fact, three, as a matter of fact, three senior advocates of Nigeria writing this letter to the INEC chairman. They put their names to it, and they say what they're demanding for is the enforcement of orders made by the Court of Appeal. Are you saying that they too are clowns?
You know what Mike Guinea said? Former commissioner of INEC for 10 years. He said if democracy will be truncated in this country, it will be by lawyers. That this Electoral Act 2026 is the worst in Nigerian history. So I can tell you that there will always be people who would do things to undermine the law, even when they purport to be ministers in the temple of justice. For me, everybody knows me. And by the grace of God, why I have won most of my cases in court is that any frivolous case, I'll tell you no. Because I signed to be a lawyer to uphold the rule of law. A lawyer went to court seeking for some reliefs. And you are now saying, when the court has not ruled anything, that your relief has been granted. That's what they are saying. This is the second letter they are writing to INEC. If you check the first one, they wrote the first one March 16th. And when INEC treated their letter for what it is, useless letter, they are writing another one. You know why? Because APC now is insisting, putting pressure on Josh Amopito that he must act on this.
How do you substantiate that?
How do you substantiate whether I've eaten this money
show something.
Good.
You're a lawyer. You know that
very good.
There's got to be something.
Very good. You want me to say that?
Show the views something.
We are not tapping the line of anybody.
Okay.
So.
Well, that could be another court matter.
Oh, good.
But I'm very interested in this. So here's the thing: when I saw this,
if somebody does not obey the court order, in your own estimate, what do? You go to court. by Section 158 and Section 160 of the Nigerian Constitution. INEC is not under any authority or any person in the rule they follow and in the manner they do their things. And these people are trying to put pressure on INEC, being used by APC, even after they know that the person they are representing has resigned officially from ADC. What do you want me to call them? Okay,
so let me ask you this. Because you said the national, all of these people resigned, the previous ESCO resigned. What I find very interesting.
Yes. Most of them, their letters are there.
Most of them are there. And I think this is a copy this will be the copy of Nafi Bala's.
God bless you.
Okay, now,
thank you.
If this is his, I find this very interesting because this looks like a prototype. It looks like something has already been prepared. All you have to do is fill your name and sign. That's what it looks like.
Very good.
I said, I asked my colleague, I said, I've never seen a letter of resignation like this, which has spots for you to fill. Letter of resignation as dash. Then you now write what position you're resigning from.
Good.
Then it says the above subject hereby refers, please. I dash. Then you fill your name there. Do hereby write to notify you of my resignation. So the rest of them has already been, it's like a standard resignation letter.
Good.
Was this produced en masse and then all that they had to do was fill their names and then submit it to the party headquarters?
Thank you for that lovely question. And I wish they would flash this letter because that confirms the authenticity of what we're saying. The National Working Committee, the previous National Working Committee led by Raf Mosu, they made a meeting and they agreed by a resolution that they are all resigning. So that is why it appeared like that. It was the resolution of all of them as a body. So if this is the prototype they followed for all of them, the most important thing is that all the things that talked about the resignation are in his own handwriting because they resigned as a body.
So do you think...
And this person is claiming deputy national chairman.
Yeah.
In ADC constitution, the deputy national chairman is function-based, not like North or South. There are 6.
Okay.
And it is the deputy national chairman politics that is in line to succession. This man was the deputy national chairman of Inter-Party Affairs. He has no business whatsoever. This authenticates what we are saying. That the National Working Committee, led by Ralph Mosu, resigned as a body, and they filled on their own names and signature. Would
it then be correct to say? I'm looking at this letter written by this SAN when they say that the defendants were forcibly asked to resign their positions. Would there not be some iota? Or because it's also possible that he felt some pressure. It's also possible that he was forced to. When you have standard letters like this already produced, and all you have to do is fill your name. It's unclear under what circumstances or conditions this was done. This could be an argument, don't you think?
Chamberlain just said something earlier. He said, is he a small boy? That he should be compelled to do what he doesn't want to do. So look at that. A man of that caliber, you think will come and resign, put in his own handwriting. You could see where all his handwriting are there. Now, by the law of contract, once you're up to a certain age, you have the right to contract.
You can claim the rest.
That's what I'm saying. That is for the court to prove. And that is why we are even saying, why come by originating summons? That is why you have to come by writ of summons. And then you prove your point. Originating summons is the civil proceeding you use when you're talking about interpreting the Constitution or any act or agreement or where the facts are not contestable. So why are you coming through originating summons? If you are claiming this, you come through writ of summons. And by coming through originating summons, that case is dead.
Well, it's up to court to decide.
That is why we are telling them, allow court to decide. All this propaganda, writing nonsense letters to INEC, and they treated it for what it is. Nonsense. Well, if there is contempt of court, you go to court. Well, you claim you put pressure on the agency.
Well, you claim this is nonsense letter.
Absolute.
What happens if before this day ends? INEC delists Senator David Mark's name from
if you do that, if INEC does that, know that it is APC that did it. We have it on authority.
Not based on this letter.
No, they're using this letter. That's what I'm saying. INEC, they wrote it the first time, March 16th. If you read this one, if it's the second one, they referred to the March 16th letter in their first paragraph. INEC, okay, why would INEC now listen to them if they didn't listen for the first one, which had the same reliefs? What has changed? Pressure from APC.
According to you?
No, INEC, they wrote the first one, March 16th. They referred to it.
The letters, yes.
Good.
But you say the pressure part.
Yes, what changed between March 16th and March 25? Pressure from APC.
All right. Well, I have to thank you for coming on. These are issues that we'll keep an eye on this kind of matters and see where the pendulum swings. Mr. Okonkwo, thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.